Dear children, I have come back again with the continuation of chapter number 3. Okay, continuation of chapter number 3. Continuation of chapter number 3. That is reproduction in humans. Okay, reproduction in humans. So in the last session, by mistake, so it had become reproduction in animals, but in place of animals, it is supposed to be humans. Okay, so that is reproduction in humans. So in the last class, we talked about the reproductive system of the male and female. Okay, that's what we discussed in the last session. Okay, and which are the parts of those male and female reproductive systems are responsible for the production of the reproductive cells or the gametes. That also we discussed in the last class. Okay, so today we'll begin with the fertilization. Okay, we'll begin with the fertilization. That means when the testes of the male reproductive system produces sperm, and the ovary of the female reproductive system produces egg, then what happens? So if they happen to fuse together, they will form something which is called zygote. So that phenomenon is called fertilization. Okay, so let me write it here now. See, sperm when fertilizes the egg, or which is also called ovum, okay, makes your zygote. It makes what? Zygote. That means when sperm fuses with egg, okay, when sperm and egg are fused, okay, when they are joined, so that phenomenon, this fusion of the male and female gamete, this fusion of the sperm and egg, makes a zygote. So this phenomenon or this process is called fertilization. This is called what? Fertilization. It's called what? Fertilization. That means in a simple way, it is a process by which the union of the male gamete and the female gamete takes place. So that is called what? Fertilization. Okay, so how it happens is that, see, which we had discussed in the last class also, that means during one ejaculation, when the male ejaculates in that particular process, during the, that particular process, so what happens is that, male ejaculates semen which contains 2 to 4 crores of, sperms at a time, 2 to 4 crores sperm at a time. Okay, so all of them will go through here. This semen containing 2 to 4 crores of sperms are released out in the uterus. Okay, here in the uterus is through this the vagina, it goes through here. So out of these 2 to 4 millions of sperms, only few of them are able to go to the uterus, and from uterus to the oviduct, to the upper region of the oviduct. Not all, only few of them will be able to go to the upper region of the oviduct. So if that time, if the egg is available there in the oviduct, then that oviduct will be fertilized by one sperm. Not that many are needed. Only one. Out of that many, one only will be, fusing the egg out here. Only one, sperm will be uniting with that, egg, which is called, fertilization. So once it finds the egg like that, suppose this is the, this is your sperm. Let's say this is your sperm, which we have discussed last time. Okay, sperm. So when it finds the egg, suppose there is an egg. See, this is the egg. So when it finds this one, so to fertilize it, somewhere this will be, this tail, this is the tail region. Tail region will be just left behind. Only this head region will go into this egg. And fertilizes it. Okay, will go into this egg and unite with this. So this process of the union of the male gamete and the female gamete is called fertilization. So by the fertilization, what is formed is your zygote. What is formed? the zygote is formed. Okay, so zygote is formed like this. See, so once the zygote is formed, when this zygote is formed somewhere here, so this zygote now is a complete living cell now. It is a complete living cell which is containing both in female gametes. That means it is the union of male and female gamete there making this zygote. Now the life starts. What happens now? The life starts. Okay, then slowly what happens, that zygote will divides and redivides. It will continuously divides, redivides. Okay, continuously divides and redivides. Then what you call your a cluster of cells is formed. A cluster of cells is formed. That means now it is it is developing into an embryo. It is not developing into now embryo. So once it is an embryo, then it comes down here. It comes down here on the uterine wall. This is the uterus. This is the uterus. On the uterine wall, this embryo makes a small pit. PIT, pit. Okay, small pit is made somewhere here, and this embryo fixes here itself. This embryo will fix itself here on the wall of the uterus. Okay, and this fixing of the embryo on the uterine wall is called implantation. That process is called implantation. Implantation. This process is called implantation. The process by which the embryo fixes itself on the wall of the uterus is called implantation. Okay. Now the division and the redivision of the cells still continuously goes on there in the embryo. Then what happens, that cluster of cells I have already told you. Then the tissues are formed, okay, which is called specialization. Then the specialization will be followed by the differentiation. So by the differentiation, what happens is that all the tissues will be now further taking part in the division of the cells. Then the different parts are formed again. Okay, different parts are formed. You see the heart, you see the lungs, or different parts are formed there. So when all those parts are formed, and those parts which have got a common function there in the body, okay, make a particular system. Okay, so that way the systems are formed. So that way, when all the systems are formed, then a baby will be ready inside here. The baby will be ready inside here. Okay, so that first the cell zygote, then comes here, because of the division and redivision of the cell, the tissue will be formed. Then tissue will be developing into the organs, then organs into the organ systems, and ultimately the baby will be ready inside. Okay, so that way it happens here. Cells, then your tissue, then tissue will be organ. Okay, then organ will be organ system, then ultimately organism. That means this is baby now. Organism, which is baby. Okay, so it happens like this here. See, cells, that was your zygote. Then tissue will be formed. Then organs, then organ system, and organism. So that way the process goes on and the growth takes place here. Now it is followed by the growth. That means, so this is how the growth goes on. Growth takes place. Growth means the irreversible change in the body. It was a zygote, then it became the tissue, then the organ, then the organ system. So that way, what is happening out there is that irreversible change is taking place, which is called the growth. Okay, which is called the growth. All right. Then this growth of the zygote to the last growth, the moment when it is ready to come out, the moment when it is ready to come out, the growth right from that zygote stage to that moment when it is ready to come out. So that development and the growth of this one takes place takes 280 days. That requires 280 days. So these 280 days, is the time when this growth takes place right from the zygotic stage to this moment when it is ready to come out. So this time of the growth and development of the baby inside is called, gestation. This period is called gestation. See here, gestation. Gestation, gestation. So this is a gestation period in which the baby grows right from the zygote stage to that moment when it is ready to come out, which takes around 280 days. So that period is called gestation. So when everything is ready now, gestation period is over now, everything is done, everything is developed there inside. Now the baby is ready to come out. So this gestation, as soon after gestation, we find now the birth. What comes out here now? The birth. The baby is now ready to come out. 280 days. About 280 days, are over now. The time of 280 days is over now. The baby will be now taking part in this phenomenon, or this phase, which is called birth. Now the baby will be taking birth. So that time to take the baby out, what happens out here is that this muscular wall, which is uterus. So this uterus, or this wall of this uterus, will be taking part in the contraction. So it will contract. Because of the contraction, a heavy force is formed out here inside the uterus. Okay, the force is formed with which the baby is pushed out here. Okay, the force which is developed out here in this uterine wall, due to the contraction of this, baby will be pushing out through this opening of vagina. Through this opening of vagina, the baby will be pushed out. The baby first take the head out, then the baby comes out, which is called birth. That takes place through this opening of vagina itself. So that way the birth takes place now. Okay, so after the birth, what happens, that all we know, then the birth will be now followed by the another phase of life. That is that then you become a baby now. You will be now in infancy. You will become an infant. Okay, then we reach the phase of puberty. Phase of puberty. Puberty is another phase of our life. Puberty is the phase of another life cycle of the human beings. Okay, which takes place at the age of about, girls, at the age of about 12 years. At the age of about 12 years, and boys at the age of about 13 years. See, girls usually attain the phase of puberty at the age of 12 years, girls. Then boys will attain it at the age of 13 years. So that time certain changes can be seen in the male and female, in the girls and boys, certain change can be seen. So the first mark of the puberty in the girls is the enlargement of the breast. Breast will be enlarged, and in the case of boys, usually the testes, okay, from where the sperms are produced, will be enlarged. So this is the first sign of attaining the puberty in the male and female. Alright, so besides this, some of the changes are also seen, like in the case of, usually in the girls, the period begins, which is called menstruation. That also usually starts here. Alright, then there, after that, after this, phase, another phase comes, which is called adolescence. Adolescence. So another phase is there, which is called adolescence. So this adolescence usually begins at the age of 13 to 19 years. When they reach the age of 10 to 19 years, so that particular period of the life is called adolescence. Okay, it's called what? Adolescence. So in adolescence only, so that means this phase, this adolescence even covers the teens of life. I mean teens, that is 13 to 19 years. So this age also comes under this adolescence only. So that we call even this phase is the teenagers. We even call it teenagers. Since this adolescence covers these teens, 13 to 19 years of our life. Okay, so this adolescence is also called teenagers. Those people who are at this phase are also called teenagers. Okay, that is also there. Okay, so when we reach this adolescence, that means when we cross, when we come under this age, so rapidly physical and emotional growth take place. Physical, lot of changes come in the body, lot of change you can make out. Right now you are in this phase, you are in the phase called adolescence. You must be knowing in yourself what are the changes taking place in you. All right, so here now physical and emotional growth rapidly take place. Okay, so here we can just see some of the changes, some of the developments we can make out in the girls and boys separately. Girls and boys separately. Okay, girls and boys separately. What are the changes we see there in the girls during this age or during this phase called adolescence? Let us see. In case of girls, narrow waistlines. This your waist becomes narrow. Okay, narrow, it becomes narrow. Then this your hips will be widened. Okay, it will be this your hips in the case of girls becomes very wide enough. Okay, skin will be oily. Skin will be oily because of that only. At this time, not only in the girls, even in the boys, this time the skin becomes oily. Since this oil contains lot of protein, the bacteria come that time. During that time, because of the oily skin, lot of bacteria can come and cause the different kinds of skin problems like acne, okay, pimples, are all because of the oil present in the skin during this time. Okay, that's why during this time, during this adolescence, we usually find the children having some skin problem like acne, like pimples, all those things there. Okay, that happens usually. And another change that you see there in the girls is your enlargement of breast. Breast will be enlarged. Okay, your breast will be enlarged. So these are the certain physical changes in the girls during adolescence. In the same way, boys also have certain changes in their, in their physics, in their body. What are they? Let's see. Broad shoulders will be broad enough. Okay, again, skin will be oily, very oily skin will be there. Then facial hairs, they're on the face, lot of hairs usually in the form of that your mustache, beard are grown. Okay, the hairs are seen there. You will be having the hairs now on your skin, especially on the face. You see the mustache, your beard, are all seen in this period of time only. Then again, you will be having the muscular body. Your body becomes very muscular. All right, and you will be having the cracked voice. Voice will be cracked. So that certain changes you can observe in yourself during this time, which is called adolescence. And boys usually at this time, once you touch this adolescence, you start making your hairstyles spiky. Okay, that's what this is. This is something like the physical change that you see in yourself. So these are the changes that you see during this adolescence. All right, and at this time only, that means during this phase only, 25% of the height of the body, 25% of the height we achieve during this time only. During this adolescence only, 25% of the height is usually achieved. 25% of the height. That's why sometimes we see the boys and girls looking little short only till 10 years or till 11 years or 12 years. But slowly, once they are in between this 13 to 19 or in between this phase, we see suddenly we see the height suddenly increased. Why? Because that time 20% of the total height of the body is increased during this time only, and 50% of the weight is gained during this phase of life only. Okay, so this is what you see as the changes or the development during this adolescence. Not only that, this adolescence is a very critical phase of life. Why? Because this time the people are, or the children, those who are in adolescence, these teenagers are very much sensitive. They are very sensitive. They are emotionally weak also. Even a small thing, even a small, problem hurts you a lot. Okay, hurts you a lot. Even a small thing. Okay, so because of a small reason also we get hurt. So that's all because of the, the very, weak. Because of you being emotionally weak. Okay, you cannot take the decision on your own. You people become so confused what decision to be taken up, so that you would not be you would not be repentant in the future. You cannot do all those things because you cannot take the decision or you will be so confused. So at that time, what I personally suggest you is that when you are in confusion at this time, when you are confused at this phase of life, you need to share your problems with your parents. Okay, so, or you can even share your problems with the teachers, but most probably you are not that much open up with your teachers, but you may be very much frank to your either mom or your dad. So in that case, whenever if you are in confused, if you are in confusion, you are confused, you are not able to take certain decisions, in that case you need to share it with your mother or father, whoever is close to you. You need to do it. Then only you would not be repented, you would not be regretted in your future, because this is the time when you are very much confused. You cannot take the decision on your own. So this is the reason why this phase of your life is also called very critical age. So once we go beyond it, once we cross 19, then we go to another phase of life, which is called adulthood. Adulthood. We reach the next phase of life after 19, which is called adulthood. So once you are in adulthood, then more or less you are now okay, you can take the decision on your own. Okay, then you attain the full physical growth and emotional stability. That means you are physically grown up now. Once you are after 19, once you attain the age of 20, 21 and all, you are physically grown up, emotionally stable, you can take the decision on your own. Okay, a strong vision for your future. You start thinking of your future, what to do. If I don't study nicely today, I may be having problem in my future. I cannot, stand on my own. So that way, this kind of, vision will be developed in you. So that means you can take the responsibility now. You can take the responsibility now. You will be taking care of your relationship. All right. You will be intellectual thoughts. Taking responsibility are given the higher responsibility. Are given the higher priority of your life. So that way you are now matured now. You start thinking of your future. Okay. You start thinking of the pros and cons of something which you are going to do. Before you do only, you start thinking of its pros and cons. Okay, so that way you would be matured enough once you cross 19. Okay, so this particular stage of life is called adulthood. So that way we slowly grow up, we develop, then we may be educating ourselves, we may be able to do the things on our own. Then once you are able to handle all the situations on your own, you perhaps go into the another phase of your life, that is what you call it, as you all know, then you may be getting married, then again you'll be going into the same cycle, and you would be again thinking of producing the children. So that way you'll again go into the another phase of life, which is called reproduction. You would be going through the another process of life, which is called reproduction, by which we came. So that way again you will be going to start the new process of the life, producing the new one. So that way it goes on. This all makes your life cycle. Okay, so that way we reproduce the new one, and we let him or her, or we let our children to start their own life again. So that way we produce the new ones, and we go through this life cycle of the human being. So this is how we conclude this reproduction in humans. So we started right from the discussion on the reproductive system of the male and female, then the fertilization, then the formation of the zygote, then the embryo, then implantation, fixing of the embryo on the wall of the uterus, that implantation, then afterwards gestation, which completes in 280 days. So after gestation, the baby comes out. Then that particular phenomenon of the coming out of the mother's womb is called birth. Then we are in the infancy, then puberty at the age of 12 years in girls and 13 years in boys. Then it's followed by adolescence, then finally adulthood. So this is how we conclude this chapter. Okay, I hope you people have understood it, and you please try to go through this chapter, keeping your book again just open, try to understand maximum. Okay, this is what you have to do. Okay, and all the question answers I'll be trying to send it through the WhatsApp. Okay, all the works whichever we are supposed to do, I'll try to solve it and try to send you through the WhatsApp. Okay, thank you very much.